Hey everybody, Matt Bagley with you, Southern Oregon Sports Talk. Joey Mack, Ducks play-by-play guy, radio extraordinaire. He's going to join me in about 15 minutes. Short show tonight because of Monday Night Football. That means I got a lot to get to and not a ton of time. I'm going to hit what I have to. That means Ducks, that means Beavs, that means NFL, some Blazers too, and a little bit else. Let's start with Christmas shopping. Because Saturday, I and you and I think everybody else on planet Earth was scrambling to get things got. I went to the mall looking for something for my grandma. She's 89. She's tough to get stuff for because, frankly, she doesn't need anything. When she needs slippers, we buy her slippers. When she needs a new TV remote, we get that for her. When she needs a new alarm clock, we get that for her. We can't get her things like candles. We're afraid she might burn the apartment down. We can't get her a lot of cookware. She doesn't cook that much anymore. It's really hard to get stuff for my grandma. And last minute Christmas shopping, I realized the light bulb goes off. I could go to Bath and Body Works. I could get her something, smells good, feels good, that kind of thing. And I walk into Bath and Body Works, and I realize as soon as I walk into that store, it is full of people, full of men, either in my situation, you're trying to get something for grandma, or you're trying to get something for mom, or you're trying to get something for your wife or your girlfriend, and you have no idea, and you're in a store that is alien to you. You don't go in there. You think your wife, mom, girlfriend, grandma, whoever is going to go in there, and you just grab the first thing you can find. That was my experience at Bath & Body Works on Saturday. I put a lot of time and effort into it, but I saw a lot of panicked men in there who were in the wrong place at the wrong time and had no idea what to do. 541-630-4792. Wrong place at the wrong time with no idea what to do. Does that sound like someone you know? Pete Carroll. I feel bad for saying this. I loved Pete Carroll at USC. I thought he was one of the greatest college football coaches ever, and I thought he built a bully in Seattle as they won a Super Bowl and should have won another. But Pete Carroll looked completely out of his element yesterday. The Seahawks have a must-win game. The Seahawks are playing what looked like an inferior team on paper, and the Seahawks never showed up. That's on Pete Carroll. Game management, come on. You got to know when to go for it on fourth down. You got to know when to challenge plays. You got to know what adjustments to make at halftime, and he didn't get any of that. And the Cardinals stunned Seattle. I talked about it on Friday. We saw it unfold on Sunday. They go into CenturyLink, and they took it to what should be one of the best teams in football. You have a franchise quarterback. You have your offensive coordinator in his second year at the helm. You have a talented offense. You have a talented defense led by the best middle linebacker in football, Bobby Wagner. And you get upset by the sellers of the NFC West, the basement dwellers, the Arizona Cardinals. It should never happen. That's on Pete Carroll. Wrong place at the wrong time with no idea what to do. I want to hear from Seahawk fan. Are you disappointed after that game? Did it change your expectations after that game? 541-630-4792. I think Week 17, a team that should be the number one seed in the NFC, a team that should be the favorites to reach the Super Bowl out of the NFC, incredible quarterback, veteran coaching staff, good defense, that team is going to get drilled by the Niners. And that team is going to have to win 3 games on the road in January. That's not going to happen. I think the Seahawks playoff chances just died last Sunday. I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. Now on a more optimistic note, or maybe not, depending on your perspective, I've read a lot of Duck fans online clamoring for jerseys. Is there any other fan base that does this? Duck fans obsessed with the fashion and the uniforms? There's a lot of talk that the Ducks might trot out throwback uniforms. And I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but all of the symbolism makes sense to me. And I think this really would be fitting. I know Mario Cristobal's not into this stuff, but if we see throwback uniforms, here's why. You've got the 25-year significance. 94, Ducks reached their first Rose Bowl. Boom. Now we're 25 years removed from that, and they're back in the Rose Bowl. So you want to honor that 94 team. I get that. And I think it fits because you're cheering on an old era of Duck football, that 94 team, that mean defense, and you are christening a new era of Duck football. All these players, they didn't come to Oregon for the uniforms. They came to Oregon to play for Mario Cristobal. They came to Oregon to build a smash-mouth SEC brand on the West Coast. And all these players, I highlighted this last week. The NFL comes calling, knocking on the door for Thomas Graham, Diamador Lenore, knocking on the door for some of the Ducks O linemen, knocking on the door for some of the Ducks D linemen. And the Ducks have resoundingly said no. They're not going to bail on Oregon. They're not going to prepare for the draft yet. They're going to play in the bowl game. That's amazing to me. That is a testament to the new culture at Oregon that Mario Cristobal is building. So I think the best thing they could do, throw some meat out there to the fans, wear the throwback jerseys, look fun on New Year's Day, and signal this is the end of one era, the start of the next. 25 years since those Ducks were in Pasadena. Now 25 years to the day. Put on those unis, but be a new team. I love that idea. How about you? Text me, 541-630-4792. It's my only show before the holiday. Christmas Eve, I'm out. Going to be in Redding with my family. Going down to California. Wednesday, obviously, that's Christmas. I'm out. Thursday, I'll be back, but I don't know if I have a show because Abby's Classic. We're airing Abby's Classic games on the radio this week. That means North Medford basketball, South Medford basketball, a lot of work for me, and I don't know if I have time to do the show Thursday or Friday. But I'm really excited about this show tonight and excited about Monday Night Football tonight, quite honestly. That's going to be something fun. Joey Mack coming up in a couple minutes. Let's wrap the segment on this note, and then we'll finish with Joey Mack and some more thoughts on the NFL. I'm at a crossroads in my show prep at this time of the year. Normally, it's all football in the fall because I love the NFL. I love college football. We love high school football here in the Valley. Everybody listening, everybody cheering us on. It's easy to just spend 2 hours a night on football. But right around this time of the year, I start shifting and talking basketball. And it's tough for me because personally, as much as I love basketball, I don't really get into it until the season progresses. The standings don't really matter to me because I think that you skip ahead 3 months and we're going to see some teams that are different. We're going to see some teams that we don't really expect right now. And I was thinking about this today. If you just looked at the standings right now, teams under 500 or teams outside the playoff picture, and you skipped ahead, who's going to be in that playoff picture 3 months from now? The obvious answer is Portland, right? Text me, 541-630-4792. Blazers are under 500, but not by much. What a run they're on. Beat the Suns last Monday, beat the Warriors on Wednesday, beat the Magic Friday, beat the Wolves on Saturday. They got New Orleans tonight. They got the Pelicans in Portland tonight, wrapping up a homestand. This season isn't over, folks. You get to 500. You float around 500. You get in conversation for that 8 seed, and they're the team nobody wants to play. There's no super team like the Warriors this year tearing up the world. You get a healthy Yusuf Nurkic in June. You get a healthy Zach Collins. You get a deeper bench when Hassan Whiteside doesn't have to play 40 minutes a night. and Kent Bazemore doesn't have to play for an eternity, and Carmelo Anthony doesn't have to carry your offense, the Blazers are the ultimate sleeper team. Off the radar right now, but you watch. Fast forward 3 months, when Matt tunes in, and you tune in, and you start caring about the NBA, the Blazers are going to be in the playoff picture. 541-630-4792. Who do you think has a shot at making a run? Text me. Let me know. 541-630-4792. We'll take things in a different direction. Talk Duck football. Rose Bowl coming up in a week. What does Joey Mack think about that? He reports on the sidelines during every Duck football game. He's the host of Duck Insider, and he's a play-by-play guy for the men's basketball team as well. That's Joey Mack, Ducks play-by-play ace, joining me next on Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley, talking local sports, weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Hey everybody, Matt Bagley here, Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. You know the drill on a Monday. We're getting ready for Monday Night Football, and I've got a guest on the phone line who can talk about the collegiate ranks. Joey Mack, Ducks expert, hosting Duck Insider and helping out on the broadcasts for football and leading the basketball broadcasts as well as their play-by-play guy. Joey Mack, my guest right now. Let's start with that football team, Joey. Just for fans' sake, can you tell me if you've seen the Rose Bowl uniforms?
I have not. I know a lot of people are wondering what they're going to look like. I have not seen them. I've seen the patches, if that helps, the Rose Bowl patches, but no, I have not seen them. The equipment truck was being loaded, and a lot of it was already loaded when we put our broadcast equipment on the truck the other day.
I'm hearing a lot of people wish for Rose Bowl throwbacks, get the 94 Ducks some love. Do you have a preference there, Joey?
You know, I love the throwback uniforms, to be honest with you. I've always been a huge fan of any time the Ducks do a throwback uniform. I think one of my favorites was when they did the pick uniforms, if you will, the 1994 throwbacks from that year when they did the anniversary of the pick. That's just a cool deal. I think it's awesome when you get a chance to do that. And I think a lot of people are loving it because, and I'll just tell you, I mean, look at the numbers at the Duck Store right now. I mean, I think that my friends at the Duck Store would tell you that all of the throwback stuff, in particular one crew neck sweatshirt that Rob Mosley and I talked about on Duck Insider last week on Wednesday, they haven't been able to keep them in stock at the Duck Store. I think a lot of people love the throwback stuff, and I certainly do. I'm a big fan of it. Now, I will say the logistics are challenging to make something like that happen for a bowl game. It takes a long time to produce uniforms that are that high quality that Nike does. So I think that there's certainly a lot of moving parts that goes into it that I think a lot of people maybe don't realize.
Joey Mack, my guest, does a little bit of everything for Oregon radio broadcasts. Joey, now to the team wearing those uniforms. We're almost a week away from the Rose Bowl. Are you concerned at all about Oregon?
I don't know if concerned is the right word. I mean, I think that there's certainly a lot of things to ponder and think about, but this is a good team. This is a really good team. And I think that you give Mario Cristobal and his staff time to prepare for anybody in the country, they're going to give them a game, and they're probably going to give them a great game. So, I'm not concerned really about anything that the Ducks have right now. In fact, the Ducks are probably getting a little bit healthier. Micah Pittman, there's some maybe good news coming on him. Yeah. Ducks head coach Mario Cristobal said in his last availability after the last practice of the season on Saturday that they're optimistic, that they're hoping that guys like Micah Pittman will be able to make their way back. So, I think that there's a lot of good things for this team right now, and I'm curious to see the way that Oregon comes out because this is a chance for the seniors to really go out the right way. And I think that's maybe the coolest aspect of what's going on right now is you got a lot of seniors here for the Ducks that are wanting to go out on the right note, and they've got an opportunity to do that. So I actually feel pretty good about where Oregon's at. Yeah,
I think that's the really slipping under the radar sort of story with this game is you have a Oregon senior class that is led by so much character, and a lot of schools, You're not in the playoff. A lot of schools are going to be enticed to pull out of that game, and your seniors focus on the draft and focus on their futures, and Oregon's not doing it. And I love this, Joey. Do you think that we'll ever see another senior class like this at Oregon?
Well, that's tough. I mean, it depends on what you're classifying as, a senior class like this. I think that this is a pretty special group in terms of just the adversity that they had to face in their careers. I mean, just look at what they've had to go through. I mean, this is a senior class that lost a head coach twice. I mean, and a lot of them were recruited by one head coach. That head coach then got fired, and then you had a head coach leave after one season, and now it's kind of settled down with Coach Cristobal. That's a lot of adversity for any class to face, but particularly I think this senior class did a nice job of recovering through all of that and getting through all of that, and the adversity was certainly heavy. I don't think that you're going to see a senior class that has to face as much adversity as this one did, and particularly unique adversity. I mean, there were a lot of unique things that were done to this senior class, and they've been through a lot, so I don't think that we'll see one quite like it, at least in terms of what they've had to deal with, that's for sure.
Joey Mack, my guest. Joey, you mentioned some of the drawbacks those seniors had over the last 4 years. What do you think was biggest? The Helfrich firing, Taggart leaving? Is there something else?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be unfair of me to try to pick out something that was worse than the other. I mean, that's something that the seniors would have to tell you. I mean, every time I've talked to them about it, it's always been kind of just all of it. They went through so much together. Anytime you have a coaching change, though, the two that you mentioned, I mean, those are tough. I mean, those are a big deal. You're losing your leader and you don't know what the future is going to look like. I mean, you spend so much time working hard to have one head coach to notice you and have your position coach to notice you, and then all of a sudden you're starting over. I mean, that's tough. I mean, that's a lot that these guys have had to go through. And to be honest, they've actually handled it pretty darn well. I mean, look at where they are right now.
Right.
They're playing for a Rose Bowl in their senior year after they were the group that came in, and you forget that this group lost a lot of, I guess, sort of the big things that Oregon prided itself in. They lost the game to Washington to end that long streak. Mm-hmm. This group also lost a game to Oregon State, and that's not something that happens a lot in the last 13 years.
No.
And then they had a 4-win season, missed a bowl game. I mean, there were so many firsts that were a negative first for this group, and now look where they are. I mean, they're playing for a Rose Bowl, they're Pac-12 champions, and I just think that's a cool redemption cycle, if you will, for this group.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. You lose to Oregon State for the first time in eternity. You lose to Washington and get drilled by the Huskies. At one point, you have a walk-on at quarterback, and at the end of that, you're Pac-12 champs. You just blew out Utah in the biggest game of your season, and you're on an upswing, I think. If the Ducks win this Rose Bowl, Joey, what's the expectation next year?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I think that the Rose Bowl, they're already in the Rose Bowl, and I already feel like the expectation is that they're going to be competing for the Pac-12 championship again. And that, with graduating most of your offensive line, you're graduating your quarterback, you're graduating a lot of key people on defense, and your leader in Troy Dye. And who knows, there might be some juniors who are getting those draft evaluations on the defensive side that may say, this is my chance. This is my time to go and make money playing football, which I don't think anyone can blame them for doing that. Oh. But I think the expectation, regardless, win or lose of the outcome of this Rose Bowl game, is going to be to compete for a Pac-12 championship. And that's also in part because of the recruiting classes that Oregon's brought in the last few years. I think the Ducks feel like they can reload at a lot of positions, even with losing a few key leaders in senior graduation.
All right. Joey Mack, my guest, Ducks sideline reporter, does some play-by-play for the Oregon basketball squad as well. Let's wrap on that note, Joey. I know you got your Rose Bowl prep coming up in just over a week, but the Oregon men, number 2 in the latest AP poll, are they really the number 2 team in the country? Are they really that good, Joey? That's amazing.
Well, the men were up to number 6. The women were up to number 2. But both of those teams, I think, are for real. I mean, the women are that good. I mean, they lost the one game, but I think they got a few things straightened out in that victory over K-State this past weekend. And then I also think that the Oregon men really are that good. I think that Gonzaga is deserving of being the number one team in the country, even after losing to Michigan the way that they did in the Bahamas. Look, I mean, Gonzaga coming off a game that, frankly, they should have lost to Oregon. If Oregon hits some free throws and does a few things differently down the stretch, the Ducks are winning that overtime game. So, you know, I think that Gonzaga is certainly deserving of that number one ranking because the Ducks gave everything they wanted. Then they had to go play Michigan in an early game as the championship game. So I can forgive the one loss that Gonzaga has. And look, they've taken down a lot of really good teams. Washington, Arizona, North Carolina. I mean, Gonzaga's beaten them all. Oregon. And I think Oregon, that's why I say, is deserving of being number 6. I mean, the Ducks lost that early game to North Carolina after that marathon of a game against Gonzaga the night before. I think you could forgive that loss, that 4-point loss to Carolina. And I know a lot of people are going, well, is Carolina really that good now? Well, they didn't have Emmanuel Bacot there for a little while after the Bahamas tournament, and they're without Cole Anthony for at least another month or so. So that's a different-looking Carolina team than when Oregon played them. And I think most people following basketball closely are going to notice that. And really all that matters is the committee notices it at the end of the year. And the Ducks losing to Gonzaga, that's a really good team that they lost to. That's the number one team in the country. What the Ducks have done from a resume standpoint, I do think that they're one of the best teams out there. Now, they're going to have to play better than they did against Texas Southern on Saturday. That was a rough game. I mean, the Ducks were like a 26.5-point favorite. They ended up winning by 6, and Peyton Pritchard kind of had to take over. He scored 14 of Oregon's final 16 points, and you don't want Peyton Pritchard to have to do that. I mean, it's one thing you do it on the road at Michigan, you score 15 of the final 17. That's what Peyton Pritchard did at Michigan, but you don't want him to have to do that all the time, particularly at home against a non-Power 5 team in Texas Southern. And that's no disrespect to Texas Southern. They were hitting some tough shots. I thought the Ducks' defense wasn't too bad, but they were just hitting some really tough shots early. But the Ducks just didn't have a high energy level. And that was something Dane Altman was really getting on him about as the game was going on, and we talked about it on the post-game show. The Ducks are going to need that consistent energy level. So I'm curious to see if maybe the Ducks just had one foot out the door getting ready for their Christmas break, because the Ducks, like me, are on that Christmas break for a few days right now.
Right.
And then how they come back against Alabama State on the 29th, I think that's going to be a real key for this team. If the Ducks come back and play like their hair's on fire against Alabama State at 1 o'clock on the 29th after the break, then I think you feel pretty good if you're Oregon. I think you feel pretty good about, if you're an Oregon fan, you feel pretty good about where this Duck team is. And, you know, they open at Colorado. And remember, that's a place that Dane Altman has not won at since joining the Ducks, and Colorado joined the Pac-12. So that's a tough test to open the Pac-12 schedule on the road at Colorado on the 2nd. It's going to be interesting to see how the Ducks look the next 2 games.
Yeah, Alabama State, not a marquee matchup, but a good litmus test for the Ducks, see where they're at. And then Colorado on the other side of the calendar. Joey Mack is going to cover those 2 games intimately on our Ducks affiliate here in Southern Oregon, News Media 99.5 FM, 880 AM KCMX. And Joey joins me every Monday right here on The Game. Joey, love having you on, my friend. Really appreciate your time, and let's do this again next week.
Hey, anytime, Matt, and Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to everybody listening. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Enjoy a few days with the family, and then before you know it, it's going to be a new decade, and hopefully the Ducks usher in that new decade with a Rose Bowl win.
Yeah, new decade, same result. Ducks dominating in the Rose Bowl. That's the hope and the wish from Joey Mack. Hey, that'll do it for the show, everybody. Thanks for listening. Have a great holiday.